Have you ever set a goal that looked perfect on paper, but once you achieved it, something else in your life quietly fell apart? Maybe you finally got that promotion, but your relationship suffered. Maybe you launched your business, but your health started to crumble. Maybe you hit your fitness goal, but your energy for everything else disappeared. That's not failure. That's a lack of ecology. See, in personal growth and leadership, we've been taught to obsess over results. Set a goal, get it done, hustle harder. But here's the uncomfortable truth. Success in one area that destroys balance in others isn't success, it's collateral damage. This is where most people and most coaching go wrong. They focus only on what you want, not on what it costs. They forget that every decision, every behavior, every change you make ripples outward into your relationships, your health, your happiness, and even your environment. That's what this presupposition reminds us. Behavior and change must be evaluated in terms of context and ecology. It's not about being cautious or soft, it's about being conscious. Because true change isn't just about moving forward, it's about making sure that forward doesn't mean falling apart somewhere else. If you're serious about creating change that lasts, not just another sprint toward burnout, then you need to understand this presupposition. Because ignoring ecology doesn't just cost you balance, it can cost you the very things you're working so hard for. I once had a client who learned that lesson the hard way. When I first met Daniel, he was buzzing with excitement. A software developer, husband, and father of 2 young kids, he had a big dream to build a custom program for his company and eventually sell it to others in his industry. This could change everything, he told me. He was bright and excited. If I can pull this off in a year, we could be set. He already had the plan, the investors, the timeline. 12 months, no excuses. But as he spoke, I noticed the tension in his shoulders, the way he checked his phone every few minutes, the faint exhaustion beneath his enthusiasm. So I asked him a simple question. Is this goal ecological for your life? He looked at me puzzled. What do you mean? I said, let's walk through it. What will it take to hit this goal in 1 year? How much more time will you spend at work? And who or what might have to do without your attention during that time? There was a long pause. You could almost hear the air leaving the room. He thought about his wife, who'd already been patient with his long hours, his kids, who had started asking why he missed dinner again. Suddenly the dream looked different. Still beautiful, still possible, but no longer worth achieving at any cost. We slowed things down. Instead of 12 months, we mapped it out over 18 months. That small shift changed everything. Daniel still built the software, still grew his business, but he also tucked his kids in at night, had dinner with his wife, and stayed present for the moments that mattered most. That's what ecology looks like in real life. It's not about doing less. It's about doing what matters without breaking what matters more. So here's the first lesson, what ecology is. Let's unpack this. When we talk about ecology and NLP, we're not talking about trees or recycling, though those matter too. We're talking about ecology of life. It means looking at how your decisions, goals, and behaviors affect the entire system you're part of. You, your relationships, your health, your community, even the environment that supports you. In simple terms, ecology asks, if I do this, what else changes? Because no decision lives in isolation. You can push hard in your career, but if that drives your peace, your marriage, or your health, is that real success? You can chase a personal goal, but if it disconnects you from the people you love, is that truly alignment? Ecology reminds us that every action sends a ripple through our lives. Sometimes those ripples create growth, harmony, and expansion. Other times, they create tension, exhaustion, or regret. And here's the truth most people miss. A goal that looks good on paper can still be toxic in your life. Because success isn't just about what you achieve, it's about what it costs. When I work with clients, I don't just ask, what do you want? I ask, can your life sustain it? That's the essence of ecology, alignment that feels good not only when you reach the goal, but also while you're living your way toward it. Here's the second lesson. How do we actually live with ecology in mind? It starts with one simple habit. Pause before you push. Before you chase that new goal, accept that new client, or take on that big project, ask yourself, is this choice truly ecological for me? That means, does it support your whole life, or does it quietly take something away? Starting with you, how will this decision affect your physical energy, your emotional bandwidth, your mental space? Because when you overextend yourself, something else always pays the price. Your sleep, your relationships, your creativity, or the very joy that made you start in the first place. I think of Daniel, a client who wanted to create a new software program for his business. He was excited, clear, and motivated. His goal? Finish it within the year. Totally doable on paper. But when we explored what that year would look like, reality hit. The 1-year deadline meant 12-hour days at least, working weekends, missing family dinners, and carrying the stress home every night. His marriage was already under pressure and his kids barely saw him. So we asked the question, is that goal in that time frame ecological for your life? And that's when he paused. He realized the goal itself wasn't the problem. The timeline was. We didn't abandon the goal. We adjusted the pace. 18 months instead of 12. Enough time to still create something great without losing himself or the people he loved in the process. That single adjustment protected his energy, his marriage, and his connection with his kids. And guess what? He still hit the goal without losing the things that made it worth achieving. That's ecology in action. It's not about slowing down. It's about choosing consciously. Success that doesn't cost your peace. The third lesson is the ripple effect. Once you've checked in with yourself, the next question is this: how do my choices ripple outward? Because our goals don't just affect us. They shape the energy we bring home, the tone we set at work, and the space we hold for others. In NLP, ecology means looking at the whole system, how your decisions impact the people and environments you're connected to. Your partner, your kids, your team, even your community. Daniel learned this too. Once he adjusted his timeline, something interesting happened. His energy shifted. He became more present, not just at home, but in his leadership. His team noticed. They weren't just following a deadline anymore. They were inspired by how grounded he became. His calm became their calm. That's the ripple effect of ecological living. Your balance gives others permission to find theirs, but it also works the other way around. If you ignore those ripples, you may reach your goals, but find yourself standing alone at the finish line, disconnected, depleted, wondering why it doesn't feel like success. So here's a habit to build. Before committing to something big, map the ripple. Ask, who else will this affect? What might they gain? What might they lose? And can I live with that impact? Your choices honor both your needs and the world around you. You're no longer just chasing achievement, you're building harmony. That's the heart of ecology. Sustainable success that supports everyone it touches. So what happens if you don't live with ecology in mind? Think back to Daniel. Picture him in those early days, hunched over his computer, long after midnight, the glow of the screen spilling across an empty kitchen table, coffee gone cold, notifications are still pinging. His wife had already gone to bed. The house was quiet, except for the sound of him trying to outwork his own exhaustion. He told himself, it's just one more year. But 1 year kept stretching into the next. He was winning on paper, clients happy, goals met, yet inside everything felt tight. His shoulders, his chest, even his weekends. Daniel had vision, discipline, and drive, but his success plan was built on intensity, not sustainability. His goals looked impressive on paper, but they came with hidden costs, less time for his family, restless nights, and a mind that never stopped running. That's what happens when achievement outruns alignment. You get results, but they don't feel like success. We move fast, but not necessarily forward. We hit milestones, but feel drained when we get there. We lose touch with the very reasons we started in the first place. Now picture the shift. Months later, same kitchen, but it's a different scene. The computer's closed, dinner plates are still on the table, but so are laughter and conversation. So kids are telling stories, his wife's smiling, and Daniel's fully there, present, not distracted by the next task. He still works hard, he still leads, but this time, he's not burning through himself to get there. He's measuring success differently, not just by what he produces, but by what he preserves. He sleeps better, thinks clearer, feels lighter. When Daniel began making decisions with ecology in mind, the change wasn't dramatic, it was deliberate. He didn't abandon his ambition, he simply reconstructed it. He gave himself more time, not just to finish the project, but to breathe, to think, and to live in rhythm with his values. His mornings began with focus instead of fatigue. His creativity returned. His mind slowed enough to notice joy again. And the beautiful irony, slowing down helped him move faster because his energy was no longer scattered. His goals started serving his life, not stealing from it. That's the paradox of ecology. When you honor balance, progress accelerates. Daniel didn't lose ambition, he gained alignment. And from that alignment came something far more valuable than a completed project, a way of living where success no longer costs his peace. Because when you live with ecology in mind, you don't just reach your goals, you get to keep what matters most when you do. And that's where real success begins, not in doing more, but in doing what aligns. If you're ready to keep growing with that kind of alignment, click on the next video and let's keep building from here.